Take a look at these happy seniors. They live in a tiny remote village in the mountains of Japan. It's a village where 70, 80, and even 90-year-olds comfortably squat, twist, and bend for up to 8 hours a day to farm their rice crops. They plow their fields without the help of modern machinery, and they continue to harvest their fruit, vegetables, and herbs by hand. Conventional wisdom says the joints of these Japanese seniors should have crumbled to dust years ago due to a lifetime of wear and tear. However, their backs, hips, and knees remain strong and flexible. Their shoulders and elbows flex and rotate with ease, and their wrists and fingers enjoy the agility and grip strength of those decades younger. In fact, in this remote Japanese village, joint problems barely exist. New research shows it's all thanks to a colorful vegetable that these villagers eat every day. A vegetable the scientists now say keeps their protective joint jello thick and healthy, long into old age. The best part? This vegetable is now being farmed right here in the US. Could this discovery be the joint health game changer for millions of Americans? Well, just ask the thousands of everyday men and women from all over this country who found this presentation before you and are now using a simple at-home joint jello trick to achieve phenomenal and truly life-changing results for themselves. Hello, I'm Dr. Mark Wise, and if you're experiencing pain, stiffness, or swelling in your knees, hips, back, shoulders, elbows, wrists, fingers, or any other joint, then I urge you to put any plans you have on hold for the next few minutes, because I am about to reveal the Harvard discovery turning joint health research on its head. As you're about to see, any joint pain you're experiencing may actually have nothing to do with wear and tear, despite what you've been told for years by your doctor or the mainstream media. Instead, new Ivy League research has finally unearthed what more and more joint health experts now believe to be the real root cause of age-related joint pain: the loss of what scientists have dubbed your protective joint jello, which has caused your cartilage to dehydrate, starve, and crumble away, all leading to stiffness, swelling, and agonizing bone-on-bone grinding that makes it difficult to get in and out of a chair, climb stairs, or even open a pickle jar, making you feel old before your time and feeling like a prisoner trapped inside your own body. In short, the continued loss of your protective joint jello, which research shows began in your 30s, has robbed your cartilage of its natural protection, caused rampant inflammation, and sent your joints into a death spiral. But here's the good news. In the next few minutes, I am going to reveal the colorful vegetable those Japanese villagers eat every day that keeps their protective joint jello thick and healthy so their joints remain lubricated, flexible, and bouncy long into old age. Exactly where to find this joint-saving vegetable right here in the US? A simple at-home trick to thicken up your joint jello, which is now changing the lives of thousands of American seniors. The shocking truth about glucosamine and chondroitin and why you should never take those joint health ingredients ever again. Why taking this popular joint pain pill for just 1 week could increase your risk of a heart attack by a whopping 50%, according to a report in the British Medical Journal. And how a recent Harvard study of 2,000 ancient skeletons finally shows that the real root cause of age-related joint pain may not be wear and tear after all. In the next few minutes, you're going to be blessed with a science-backed solution for regaining the joys of comfortable, flexible, and pain-free joints. Even better, you can do it naturally and from your own home starting today, just like the thousands of overjoyed men and women who've already used this simple joint jello trick for themselves. If you're excited by this news, you should be, because if you're like most middle-aged and senior Americans, the crippling effects of joint pain are hanging over your head like a black cloud. Tell me, when you wake in the morning, do you feel like the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz in need of a squirt of oil to loosen you up? Do you dread climbing stairs after working in the yard because your knees or hips have become so stiff you can barely make it to the top? Do you sometimes experience stiff wrists or fingers that make it difficult to hold a pen, send texts on your cell phone, or even twist doorknobs? And do you ever feel robbed of the hobbies and activities that used to bring you joy, which now makes your world seem so much smaller? Whatever your circumstances, I understand that things might seem hopeless right now. You've no doubt been told by so-called experts for years that your joint pain is simply caused by wear and tear, and there's nothing you can do other than pop pain pills every day. You may have tried anti-inflammatories, physiotherapy, acupuncture, losing weight, maybe even surgery, but with little success. And none of these things have worked for you because they don't target the newly discovered root cause of age-related joint pain that plagues most American seniors, which is the continued loss of your protective joint jello over time. But you'll be happy to know that this natural home-based solution works by replenishing your joint jello, and it can work for anyone, whether you're male or female, 39 or 99, experiencing mild, moderate, or severe pain, and struggling with knees, hips, ankles, back, neck, shoulders, elbows, wrists, or fingers. Even better, the results I've seen in my patients have been both fast and long-lasting. Hello, like I said, my name is Dr. Mark Wise. I'm an award-winning physician, medical consultant, and author. I completed my medical school and postgraduate training at the University of Kansas School of Medicine. In the years that followed, I worked as a primary care and emergency physician at a rural hospital in Kentucky, where I also served as chief of staff. I later served my country as a civilian physician for the U.S. Army, at the Wounded Warrior Clinic at Fort Knox, Kentucky, as a general medical officer at Fort Riley, Kansas, and as the lead primary care physician for the Army's Respect Mill PTSD and Depression Screening Program located at Walter Reed Army Medical Center. Today I'm the Medical Research Director at Biodynamix, where I investigate and share innovative health solutions that are found in nature and backed by real research. You see, after decades treating both brave veterans and everyday Americans, I've seen firsthand what joint problems can do to people's quality of life and their mental health. And I quickly came to realize that in the majority of cases, side effect-ridden pain pills are not the answer. They're often little more than a Band-Aid and do nothing to address the actual issue at its root, which is why the current solutions just aren't working. And why, according to the CDC's latest research, joint issues are on the rise. So, what exactly is this newly discovered root cause of age-related joint pain that's affecting the lives of millions of American seniors? Well, my quest to find this out began when an old friend of mine came to me for help. Sarah is 67 years old and from Arizona and was at rock bottom when we met, breaking down in tears as she told me her story. At first, Sarah said, the pain and stiffness came on slowly. It began in her mid-40s when she knelt down on the floor one day to change her grandson's diaper, and then as she tried to stand up, her knees felt stiff, and it took her a few seconds to straighten her legs. Like most people who've been through the joint pain journey, Sarah didn't think much of it at first. But as the years rolled by, her knees became stiffer and more painful, making it harder to enjoy simple pleasures like tending to the flowers in her backyard or playing with her grandchildren. By her early 50s, whenever she knelt down to play board games with her grandkids, her knees would crunch and grind like a sock full of broken glass. She hated the look of pity on their little faces when they saw her grimace like a fragile old-timer. Before long, the pain and stiffness began to spread like wildfire. First to her left hip, then to her right, making it difficult to walk up and down the stairs, get in and out of the car, or be intimate with her husband. It made Sarah feel 30 years older, like she was destined for a stair lift, or worse, a wheelchair. But what really frightened Sarah was when the pain began spreading in her wrists and fingers in her late 50s. For almost a decade, Sarah had been running her own home business, baking wedding cakes. But now she was struggling to grip the whisk or hold heavy baking trays. And her fingers and wrists flared up so regularly that decorating the cakes now took much longer than normal and left her in agony. Of course, Sarah's doctor blamed wear and tear and said it was to be expected at her age. To help with the pain, he recommended a joint supplement consisting of glucosamine and chondroitin. These are among the most popular joint health ingredients on the market. Yet Sarah experienced no improvement. That surprised me, because they've been around for years and are supposed to be the building blocks of cartilage. But I soon found that this was a case of old habits dying hard. Countless studies now show that glucosamine and chondroitin are ineffective against joint pain. According to Dr. Antonios Alaprantis, director of the Osteoarthritis Center at Harvard-affiliated Brigham and Women's Hospital, glucosamine and chondroitin have now been debunked as a means for supporting joint health. While Dr. Robert Schmerling, associate professor of medicine at Harvard-affiliated Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center said, "There's been no convincing evidence that these supplements repair cartilage or change long-term outcomes. In fact, in a 2-year study of 572 patients costing over $12 million, supplementing with glucosamine and chondroitin was found to produce no benefits in pain reduction, joint function, or slowing the loss of cartilage when compared to a placebo. And that's because, as I later discovered, these ingredients do nothing to address the newly discovered root cause of age-related joint pain, the continued loss of your protective joint jello, which means the cartilage still isn't receiving the lubrication, nourishment, and support it needs to function, recover, and survive." Of course, to help her continue working, Sarah was prescribed anti-inflammatories like Motrin, Advil, and Aleve. Unfortunately, these pills led to a spike in blood pressure and an irregular heartbeat that almost put her in the hospital. That's not surprising, because a recent study in the British Medical Journal found that just 1 week of these pills can increase the risk of cardiac arrest by up to 50%, not to mention other potential side effects that include gastrointestinal bleeding, kidney damage, stroke, hearing loss, and breathing difficulties, to name just a few. Unable to deal with the pain, and with traditional solutions failing to work, Sarah was forced to quit baking and abandon her business, leaving her depressed and feeling worthless. Joint pain had robbed her of her business, her identity, and her independence, and in doing so, had driven a wedge between Sarah and her husband Jack, because she could no longer bring in money or do as many chores around the house. These things led to resentment from Chuck and heated arguments about her not contributing enough and that she was exaggerating the pain. It's safe to say that when I met up with Sarah that day, she was feeling about as low as it gets, and she was only 67 years old. But to me, she seemed 20 years older than that, and Sarah was the first to admit it. She hobbled into my office, gripping a cane in her stiff, claw-like fingers, and said she felt like a fragile glass statue that could break at any moment. Her business had crumbled, her marriage was on the rocks, and she didn't know how much longer she could go on living in pain like a prisoner trapped inside her own failing body. I've got to admit, I was shocked at the level of despair that my old friend was in. And as a physician and someone in a position to help, I felt duty-bound to do everything I could to get to the bottom of what was happening. So I quickly set about my research. The first thing that struck me about Sarah's story was how little sense the wear and tear theory made in her situation. She'd been a clerk for an insurance firm for 20 years before starting her wedding cake business. She sat in an office chair, and she'd never played sport in her life, yet the cartilage in her knees and hips had broken down badly. Sure, if she'd been a runner or a cyclist, maybe I might have had some time for the wear and tear theory, but it just did not make sense to me. Still, everywhere I looked, this theory was all I saw. It states that age-related joint pain is caused by the wearing away over time of the cartilage between the joints, which is then followed by inflammation leading to pain, stiffness, and swelling of the joint tissue. Now, decades of studies have proven beyond doubt that age-related joint pain is caused by cartilage breakdown and subsequent inflammation. But it was becoming clear to me that in Sarah's case, her cartilage hadn't broken down because of natural wear and tear. Something else was going on. After all, by the logic of the wear and tear theory, Sarah's hips and knees at least should have been as smooth, flexible, and bouncy as that of a teenager. So I did some digging. And that's when I came across a breakthrough Ivy League study that would change everything. For more than a year, Dr. Ian Wallace of Harvard University traveled the country analyzing the knee joints of thousands of ancient skeletons, some as old as 6,000 years. His theory, based on years of conventional wisdom, was that these hunter-gatherer skeletons would show significant signs of wear and tear. After all, our ancient ancestors did not have cars or comfy couches. They had to walk everywhere, chase wild animals for food, and squat, twist, and bend much more than any of us do today. But to Dr. Wallace's surprise, he discovered the exact opposite. He found that joint decay in our ancestors was just a fraction of what we see today. In fact, the vast majority of the skeletons had strong, healthy-appearing knee joints. This didn't make sense to Dr. Wallace if wear and tear really was the cause of age-related joint pain. According to Harvard professor Daniel E. Lieberman, senior author of the study, these findings proved beyond doubt that while joint pain does become more common as we age, it's not caused by wear and tear. Other experts agreed. Your joints are not like your automobile tires that wear out as you use them, commented renowned rheumatologist Dr. Richard Leeser. So the question was, if the telltale signs of age-related joint pain such as cartilage breakdown and inflammation are not caused by natural wear and tear, what does cause it? That's exactly what I wanted to find out. So alongside my research team, I spent months trying to get to the bottom of this mystery. Eventually, I stumbled onto what I firmly believe to be the real root cause of age-related joint pain, a crucial yet poorly understood molecule that has been figuratively leaking from your protective joint jello since you hit your 30s. I promise to reveal exactly what this molecule is and what your joint jello is in just a second. First, let me explain how your joints are supposed to work so you understand what's going on. As you know, the joint is where two or more bones meet, like your knee, for example. On the end of each bone, you have a thin layer of rubber-like cartilage, which prevents these bones from grinding against each other when you move the joint so you don't feel pain and stiffness. And this is why, in my opinion, decades of conventional joint health advice has mistakenly focused on the cartilage, because between those pieces of cartilage lies something even more important, your joint cavity. It's not a great name for it because it's not empty. It's actually filled with something called synovial fluid. This is the joint jello I mentioned earlier. As Dr. Olive Prontis explains, much of the research over the past 20 or 30 years has focused on cartilage as the target. But we're beginning to realize that there are important changes happening in the joint lining itself, the synovium. In fact, more and more research now shows that this thick, gloopy synovial fluid is the real secret to joint health. First, it coats and lubricates your cartilage tissue, enabling each piece of cartilage to slide over the other comfortably when you move the joint, just like WD-40 works on a door hinge. And because this fluid is thick like jello, it acts like a shock absorber or cushion between the two pieces of cartilage, giving each joint a healthy, bouncy quality that makes movement comfortable. Second, because cartilage has no blood supply, it relies on your joint jello to keep it nourished and healthy by supplying it with precious oxygen and nutrients. And third, your joint jello serves as a protective bubble, shielding your cartilage from inflammatory proteins called cytokines, which would otherwise attack and break down cartilage tissue and bone. Of course, when you're young, this process works smoothly. The problem is when you hit your 30s, you begin to produce less of a critical molecule that keeps your joint jello healthy, which causes this naturally thick fluid to thin and dry out and lose its joint protecting qualities. This molecule is called hyaluronan. Its main role is to absorb water so it can give your synovial fluid its thick, lubricating, and jello-like quality. And it's amazing at doing it. Each hyaluronan molecule can absorb up to 1,000 times its own weight in water. Hyaluronan is now deemed so important that world-leading joint health expert Dr. J.R. Levick of St. George's Hospital Medical School of University of London has dubbed it the guardian of the joints and a key arthroprotective agent. This view has now been supported by a breakthrough study published in the Nutrition Journal, which found that people with age-related joint decay have, and I quote, diminished hyaluronan concentrations in their synovial fluid. So why do we lose hyaluronan? For many years, this question puzzled scientists and researchers, but new research has finally revealed the answer. Simply put, as we age, an enzyme attacks and gradually breaks down the hyaluronan molecules in our synovial fluid or joint jello. According to a study published in the esteemed medical journal Arthritis Research and Therapy, we lose at least 1% of our hyaluronan stores per year after the age of 30, or 10% per decade. That means if you're 60, the chances are you've already lost at least 30% of this precious molecule from your joints. If you're 80, you've lost at least 50%. Worse still, environmental pollution accelerates hyaluronan breakdown, which means people today are likely losing their hyaluronan stores faster than that. And this has a devastating effect on joint function in 3 distinct ways. Like I mentioned, without adequate hyaluronan, your jello-like synovial fluid begins to thin and dry out, bringing the two pieces of cartilage closer together. This means each piece of cartilage begins to rub and grind against the other, and pieces break away. With less lubrication and cushioning, your joints start to feel stiff and painful, and it becomes more and more difficult to move freely, just like an old, creaky door hinge. Second, as your joint jello thins and dries out, your cartilage becomes starved of vital oxygen and nutrients, which results in cell death and accelerated cartilage breakdown. And third, your joint jello can no longer protect your joints from those nasty inflammatory cytokines, which are now free to storm into the joint space and break down your cartilage further, leading to widespread inflammation and increased pain and discomfort. Of course, as the years pass and more hyaluronan is lost, your joint jello becomes thinner and drier, and your starving, dehydrated cartilage crumbles like a sandcastle in the wind, eventually leading to joints so stiff and swollen you can barely move, coupled with an agonizing bone-on-bone grinding that makes life a misery. And if you carry on ignoring this loss of hyaluronan, the pain and discomfort you're feeling right now will only get worse until you break this cycle of destruction. And that's what I'm going to help you do in just a second by showing you a quick and simple way to support and replenish your lost hyaluronan stores. The benefits of doing this can be life-changing because if you've seen, your joints need hyaluronan like your lungs need oxygen. This simple solution, which is now being used by thousands of men and women all over the country with remarkable success, quickly gets to work to support and thicken up your synovial fluid and return it to its thick, bouncy, jello-like state. This means you're able to refresh the cushioning between the two pieces of cartilage and properly lubricate your dehydrated cartilage tissue so your joints can slide and bounce smoothly again, enabling you to move more freely. And like I said, thickening up your joint jello also helps to nourish your starving cartilage with the oxygen and nutrients needed to support repair, and finally, to restore the protective bubble around the joint, which recent studies show blunts the inflammatory cascade because these cytokines are no longer able to freely enter the joint space and cause more damage, all of which results in less pain, greater comfort, flexibility, mobility, and a happier, more active life. And if you still need convincing, answer me this. Which joints are causing you problems right now? I'm thinking it's your knees, hips, ankles, shoulders, spine, elbows, wrists, fingers, right? Guess what? These are all called synovial joints. In other words, they all rely on synovial fluid or joint jello to function properly. Therefore, they cannot do their job without a healthy supply of hyaluronan, the guardian of your joints and the key arthroprotective agent. This discovery finally explained to me why glucosamine and chondroitin did not work for Sarah or anybody else, because taking these ingredients to support your cartilage and ease your joint pain is like changing the tires and fixing the radiator on your car, yet not bothering to add any engine oil. If your engine has no oil, nothing else you do will make a difference. Your car will start to grind, seize up, and eventually refuse to move. And I bet you know that exact feeling, right? But as you've seen, hyaluronan is much more than engine oil for your joints. It's the actual engine itself. And that's why you can't be without it any longer. Knowing all this, I couldn't help but wonder why those ancient skeletons I talked about earlier showed so few signs of joint decay. And the answer is simple. Most hunter-gatherers barely made it to age 30, which means they died long before their joints began to lose enough hyaluronan to cause a problem. However, today, most people comfortably make it into their 50s, which is when most joint problems begin. And of course, more and more people now live into their 70s, 80s, and 90s, which means they've been losing their hyaluronan stores for more than half their lives. Add to that, environmental pollution is higher today than ever before, which further accelerates hyaluronan loss. So you see, when I discovered this, it all finally made sense. Yes, joint pain is due to cartilage breakdown and subsequent inflammation, just as you've probably been told. However, the root cause of the problem is not wear and tear. Instead, it's rapidly depleting levels of hyaluronan, the guardian of your joints, also known as your key arthroprotective agent. And until you correct this deficiency, you don't stand a chance of relieving your pain or improving your joint function. So back to Sarah's story. Once I'd finally pinpointed what I firmly believed to be the root cause of Sarah's joint pain, the next step was to find a good source of hyaluronic. I started with the quickest and easiest way I knew: food. But this proved difficult. Despite some exhaustive research, I was unable to find any foods with sufficient levels of hyaluronic. I felt like I'd come so far only to hit a brick wall. But then I got the stroke of luck I needed, which finally helped everything fall into place. Late one night, I happened to come across an ABC News story about a tiny and remote village in the mountains of Japan called Yuzurihara. According to the report, these Japanese seniors were still farming the fields, plowing their vegetable gardens, and making full use of their joints long into old age. Yet they had no joint pain at all. They weren't stiff, they weren't aching. In fact, they were showing no signs of age-related joint problems whatsoever. And it's because their diet consisted of a purple sweet potato called the satsumayamo, a local vegetable that has been shown to boost the body's natural production of hyaluronic and thicken up their joint jello. The good news was, I discovered these potatoes were now available in specialty markets right here in the US. The bad news was the amount Sarah would have to eat. We're talking 3 or 4 of them every single day for many months, where she'd have any chance of feeling any effect. That obviously was not practical. I figured there had to be an easier way. After scouring hundreds of medical journals, I found dozens of randomized, double-blind, and placebo-controlled studies. The gold standard of clinical trials had recently been carried on in hyaluronic and oral supplementation. And the results were incredible. Trials in America, Europe, and Asia all reported that oral supplementation of hyaluronic produced significant and even drastic improvement in pain, joint comfort, stiffness, swelling, inflammation, muscle strength, flexibility, mobility, and quality of life. Participants in the trials were literally throwing away their pain meds because they no longer needed them. This was hugely exciting and confirmed everything I'd discovered. But there was a problem. It took a long time to work. Typically, it was many, many months before the study participants reported the kind of noticeable improvements that made a real difference. I knew that was too long for Sarah and the millions of Americans still living under the black cloud of joint pain. The question facing me now was, is there a way to speed things up? The answer came from Barcelona, Spain, and an advanced and patented ingredient called Mobily. After being rigorously tested in 14 randomized, placebo-controlled, and double-blind clinical studies, again, the gold standard of clinical trials, an 80 milligram dosage of Mobily has been shown to multiply hyaluronic levels in the joints by a factor of 10. And this is where things get really exciting. In one of those trials, published in the medical journal Clinical Nutrition Supplements, participants suffering from age-related joint pain were asked to supplement with 80 milligrams of Mobily every day for a period of 6 months. The scientists performing the study were thrilled to find that not only did these people report rapid improvements in pain relief and joint comfort as early as month 1, but more importantly, their levels of pain and discomfort decreased month after month and continued to steadily decrease for the entire 6-month study. In other words, the results got better and better the longer the study went on. Added to that, there was a significant reduction in swelling in month 1, which again continued to reduce as the 6-month trial continued. These results were repeated in other published clinical studies where supplementing with 80 milligrams of Mobily each day resulted in not only dramatic improvements in joint pain and swelling, but also physical function, flexion and extension, muscle aches, muscular strength, and quality of life. With the discovery of Mobily, I knew we finally had something truly special, which, instead of targeting the symptoms of joint pain with side effect-ridden pills or outdated ingredients like glucosamine and chondroitin, actually winds back the clock to the very beginning and targets the origin of the problem, the loss of hyaluronic as you age, which causes your protective synovial fluid or joint jello to thin and dry out, all of which results in the breakdown of cartilage tissue and inflammation of the joint. With that in mind, the name for this breakthrough formula was obvious. Today, I'm very proud to introduce you to Joint Genesis. This advanced, science-backed solution is the first of its kind because it finally addresses the origins of age-related joint decay, the loss of hyaluronan as you get older. So you can once again lubricate and cushion those dehydrated and stiff joints, properly nourish your cartilage tissue, and slam the brakes on painful inflammation. So you can enjoy a new beginning and start living life with a spring in your step and a smile on your face again. And all you need to do is swallow one small capsule with a glass of water each morning, which in my experience takes no more than a few seconds. That's not all. At Biodynamix, we demand the very best, so we did not stop at Mobility, because although Mobility works wonders for your joints on its own, I discovered that its joint protecting power is strengthened hugely when you combine it with another rare and expensive ingredient. And this is where Joint Genesis truly shines and real life-changing improvements can be felt. This rare ingredient is the bark of a French maritime pine tree. This super antioxidant is one of the world's most powerful ingredients for soothing inflammation. In fact, it's been shown in multiple studies to slash inflammation and resulting joint pain, decrease stiffness and swelling, improve physical function, and dramatically reduce the need for pain pills. And does it fast, making French maritime pine bark the perfect complement to Mobility. The reason they work so well together was outlined in a landmark study published in the medical journal Nutrients. In the study, the scientists found that the powerful antioxidants in French maritime pine bark are distributed directly into the synovial fluid or joint jello, helping to fight off those inflammatory cytokines even faster, meaning you can expect to enjoy greater pain relief sooner. And please keep in mind that this combination of Mobility in French maritime pine bark is completely unique. In other words, it can only be found in Joint Genesis. And that's why Joint Genesis has been producing such remarkable results for our customers, because nothing like this has ever been done before. To round off the formula and help ensure the strongest and fastest possible results, I also included 3 more powerful ingredients clinically shown to soothe inflammation: ginger root, Boswellia serrata, and finally, bioperine, another cutting-edge and patented extract obtained from black pepper fruits that helps boost the absorption of the other ingredients in the formula. As a result, this unique and powerful blend of ingredients includes everything you need to slam the brakes on joint pain, enjoy smooth, comfortable movement, and delight in the renewed flexibility of your youth. Just imagine how good it would feel to bounce out of bed each morning and sprint down the stairs without feeling an agonizing jolt with every step. Because your knees and hips are properly cushioned and lubricated, imagine grabbing a shirt or pants and buttoning them up with the supple wrists and flexible fingers of a 20-year-old. To comfortably sit cross-legged on the floor with your grandkids while you happily play board games with them, or kneel down on the ground to tend to the roses without fearing that you might get stuck down there, frozen in pain. But more than that, Joint Genesis will finally allow you to reach a level of joint comfort that helps you strengthen relationships. First, with your friends and loved ones, because you're no longer in agony or being looked upon as old and fragile. Second, with yourself, because you can finally reclaim your confidence, freedom, and independence and live life on your terms, just like so many of our happy customers are doing right now. In fact, when we first shared Joint Genesis with the Biodynamix family, we were confident that it was about to change lives, and it has not disappointed. I'm guessing you're excited to get your hands on a supply of Joint Genesis today. And you should be. After all, you've seen the rock-solid evidence behind Joint Genesis, and you know exactly how and why it works so well. You've heard some of the overjoyed men and women who've tried it for themselves. You've seen that we've spared no expense developing this one-of-a-kind formula and willingly cut into our own profits to ensure you receive only the very best science-backed ingredients and scientifically effective dosages. First, with Mobility, a patented and highly prized ingredient due to its unique ability to multiply hyaluronan levels in the joints by a factor of 10, and then with French maritime pine bark, which works in tandem with Mobility to soothe your pain faster and give you even stronger results. So with all that said, I understand that price might be a concern for you right now, especially when you consider something else too. Unlike many other joint formulas, we are committed to sparing no expense on the manufacturing process either. Joint Genesis is meticulously produced following current good manufacturing practices in our state-of-the-art, climate-controlled, and FDA-inspected facility right here in the USA. This guarantees the strictest standards in terms of quality control to ensure only the finest, purest ingredients and the exact dosages listed on the bottle. In a formula for all that's vegetarian and vegan friendly and free from gluten, dairy, nuts, soy, egg, crustaceans, and of course, nasty BPAs and GMOs. It's an expensive process with many steps. But here at Biodynamix, we will not settle for second best, and neither should you. Which brings us to that all-important question, how much? Well, let me ask you this. How much is fast and long-term joint relief really worth to you? How much value do you put on waking up in the morning with strong, flexible, mobile joints where you can skip through your day in complete comfort? Can you really put a price tag on youthful joints and the freedom, independence, and opportunity that comes with it? To be able to return to the hobbies and activities that used to bring you so much joy before joint pain stole them from you. To put the spark back in your relationship because you're no longer in agony and look to the future with hope, excitement, and thoughts of what you can do instead of what you can't do. Tell me, how much is all that worth to you? Whatever figure you have in mind. You know as well as I do that taking action today and investing in yourself and your long-term joint health will be one of the best investments you could ever make. On the other hand, by doing nothing, you'll inevitably be forced to spend hundreds and possibly even thousands of dollars over the next few years on Band-Aid solutions that don't and can't address the root cause. I'm talking about pain meds that can damage your stomach, hearing, and kidneys and skyrocket your risk of heart attacks and stroke, or risky joint replacement surgery that mounting evidence shows that may not even work. In fact, in a study of almost 4,500 people who had knee replacement surgery, researchers were shocked to discover that after 9 years, the procedure was found to have had only minimal effects on quality of life. And the reason is obvious. None of these things address the real root cause of age-related joint pain, the draining away of hyaluronan, the guardian of your joints, and your key arthroprotective agent, which means they can't combat the thinning and drying out of your synovial fluid or joint jello. So let me ask you again, how much would you be willing to part with for the chance to enjoy flexible, healthy, and pain-free joints again, with no effort required, and finally remove that black cloud circling above your life? Okay, enough waiting. Here it is. Due to the cutting-edge nature of this formula and its unique ability to target the root cause of age-related joint pain, the retail price of Joint Genesis was originally set at $199 for a 30-day supply. And you know as well as I do that this price is already a bargain. But here's the thing. After hearing the stories of people like Sarah, I wanted Joint Genesis to be within reach of as many people as possible. And the team here at Biodynamix agreed with me. They told me the best way to cut our costs so we could offer the lowest possible price would be to make Joint Genesis available online only. In other words, we bypass the stores, which means we cut out the middleman and pass the savings on to you. The downside of that is that it means Joint Genesis is only available through this website. The upside is that it allowed us to slash the price on a 30-day supply to just $129, a huge discount off its retail value. But wait a second, it gets even better. You see, as you've probably realized, my motivation throughout this journey was never financial. My goal was always to help my friend Sarah get back to her best life, and now I want to help you do the same. I want you to be able to move comfortably and freely, to feel happy and confident in your own body again, and to be the best mother, father, wife, husband, grandmother, or grandfather you can be, because that's what really matters in life. That's why I pushed our finance team again. They said we could offer a further discount, but as long as it was only temporary. and as long as the biggest discount was only for the people who needed it the most. So if you look below, you'll see that for a limited time only, you can try a 30-day supply of Joint Genesis at a huge saving. And for those who really need the support of Joint Genesis, you can stock up on a 3 or 6 month supply at an even bigger discount. We've done this for 2 reasons. First, because shipping to you in bulk, rather than sending out just 1 bottle at a time, reduces our cost. And we can then pass those savings on to you. But more importantly, stocking up on a larger supply of Joint Genesis will help ensure you achieve real, long-lasting results. And that's what we want. Remember, in that clinical study published in the medical journal Clinical Nutrition Supplements, the participants took 80 milligrams of Mobility every day for 6 months. And the relief they felt not only happened fast, but kept on improving month after month for the entire 6-month trial. And the exact same thing happened in the other Mobility trials too, as well as French maritime pine bark, where countless studies have shown that continuous use results in continuous improvements in joint comfort and joint function. So it's clear to see that the longer you take Joint Genesis, the more effective it becomes. And that's why most new customers are selecting the 3 or 6 bottle options. In short, while a 1-month starter supply will return crucial hyaluronan molecules to your synovial fluid, begin to lubricate and cushion your joints and help to ease your pain, a 3-month supply will provide the support you need to really thicken up that fluid, increase its lubricating and cushioning quality, and of course, nourish the cartilage and soothe inflammation so you can enjoy smoother, more flexible movement. And finally, a 6-month supply will help your synovial fluid return to its thick, bouncy, and fully protective jello-like state so your joints can function properly for years to come, which allows you to enjoy a full and active life again. That's why I personally recommend that you stock up now while you can so you can enjoy great results for the long haul. And stocking up now really is the smart thing to do, because the truth is, we have trouble keeping our stockroom shelves full. As you've seen, Mobility is an expensive and patented ingredient that we ship all the way to our US headquarters from Barcelona, Spain. Well, our maritime pine bark extract is found only on the coast of Southwest France. As you can imagine, this often leads to logistical problems and supply shortages. And as a small company, this means we can only produce Joint Genesis in limited batches. And with our 3 and 6 month packages proving so popular, it's very common for us to run out of Joint Genesis, meaning our customers often have to wait many months for a fresh supply, by which time their joint pain has often returned with a vengeance, reversing a lot of the progress they've made. But if you can see all 3 money-saving options below, it means we do have enough bottles of Joint Genesis available to ship to you right now. So I recommend you take advantage of this special discount pricing now to guarantee there's no interruption in your progress over the next few months. And please remember, this is a limited time offer. We simply cannot afford to keep it going for much longer. Also, let me assure you that this is a one-time payment. There are no subscriptions or hidden charges, and you don't need to worry about the ordering process either. When you select your savings, you'll be sent through to our secure ordering page, which uses 256-bit encryption technology, the same technology used by Amazon and the world's biggest banks. So you can be completely confident that your information is 100% safe and secure. And listen, if you're still a little unsure about whether Joint Genesis will work for you, I completely understand. But you needn't worry, because your order is backed by our industry-leading 6-month guarantee that comes with all of our packages. We are so confident that you'll be head over heels thrilled with the results you get that we're giving you a full 6 months to try it for yourself completely risk-free. If you change your mind for any reason at all, simply contact our friendly customer support team via phone or email, and we will refund 100% of the purchase price, no questions asked. Our contact details will be on the packaging. Once again, if for any reason you don't enjoy rapid pain relief, smoother movement, improved flexibility, and huge improvement in your quality of life, you have a full 6 months to let us know, and we will refund every penny. Even better, we'll refund your money even if you've used up every last capsule. We can't make it much fairer than that, right? So go ahead and select your savings from the options below, completely risk-free for a whole 6 months, regardless of the package you choose. Okay, so the way I see it, you really only have 2 options right now. The first option is that you ignore everything you've just seen and heard from me. All the science and rock-solid data that shows you exactly why Joint Genesis works so well and how it's improving the lives of so many people all over the country. You can continue to waste money on outdated joint formulas that don't work and never did, or continue playing Russian roulette with your health by popping pain pills that could damage your stomach, kidneys, heart, hearing, and more. Yet do nothing to address the real root cause of your joint pain, which means it will continue to get worse. And you can accept the inevitable, that your dehydrated, starving cartilage will continue to crumble away, leading to agonizing bone-on-bone grinding that keeps you locked up in a joint pain prison and makes life a misery. Sure, you can bury your head in the sand and pretend that none of that will happen. But as you already know, every day that passes, your synovial fluid, or joint jello, is losing more and more of the very thing that makes it function. It's like a leaking boiler that never gets fixed. Its ability to do its job and protect your joints is disappearing steadily. And because of the toxic world in which we now live, this loss is accelerating like never before. So do you really want to sit back, do nothing, and allow that destructive process to continue and suffer the inevitable increase in pain and discomfort, where the world you live in starts to become smaller with every passing week, where you lose contact with friends and family because making the journey is just too difficult, and you become a burden to your loved ones, always in need of help and viewed as weak, old, and fragile? I don't want you to feel like that, and I know it's not what you want either, which is why I'm presenting you with option number 2 today, the smart option. The opportunity to finally break free from the joint pain prison with a truly unique and groundbreaking formula backed by science that promises to deliver not only rapid relief, but real long-term improvement in joint function. And remember, you have the chance to try it yourself completely risk-free for 6 whole months, meaning there's absolutely 0 risk to you. If you decide to take up option 2, and I hope you do for your sake, then one day very soon from now, you could find yourself waking up in the morning having slept like a baby, because your joints are no longer so stiff and sore that they keep you up at night. You'll swing your legs out of bed and find that you can rotate your hips with ease. You'll notice that you can bend your knees comfortably and tend to the flowers in your backyard, and then snap back up again with barely a twinge, while your fingers tap out messages on your cell phone with the speed and agility of a teenager. Life is going to be different now, and you'll be filled with excitement and possibilities for the future. I have a term for that exact day. I call it Independence Day. I know it sounds corny, but that's the day when you realize that the oppressive force that's been holding you back, dominating your every waking moment and preventing you from being free, has finally been defeated. I call it Independence Day because that's what Sarah called it. Remember Sarah? After trying Joint Genesis herself, she called me up and told me all about her own personal Independence Day, and she burst into tears over the phone. However, unlike the last time we spoke, these weren't tears of sadness brought on by years of pain and frustration. They were tears of joy, tears of relief and of newfound hope for the future. Her fingers weren't locked tightly together anymore, meaning she could return to her passion of baking and decorating wedding cakes. And she ran up the stairs, bouncing off each step like a coiled spring, all because her knees and hips were lubricated, cushioned, and nourished for the first time in years. That day marked a new beginning for Sarah, and you can have that same day too, that feeling of independence and freedom. Wouldn't that be incredible, to reach that place where you're finally free from joint pain and the worries and frustrations that come with it? Imagine what you would do, how you'd celebrate. Now, hold on to that feeling, because that's the kind of future Joint Genesis can deliver. Thousands of Americans are now experiencing those joyous feelings for themselves and embarking on a new beginning free from joint pain. This is your chance to join them, to join the Biodynamix family and transform your joint health in your future. So make the right decision. Make the only decision you can make, both for yourself and your family. Select your savings, hit the button below, and put Joint Genesis to the test completely risk-free for a full 6 months. I'm Dr. Mark Wise. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to hearing your success story very soon. Still here? No problem. If you're still here, that tells me two things. One, you understand how crucial proper joint function is to your health and happiness. And two, you still have a few questions. And it's perfectly fine to have questions. I'm glad you do. So to help you feel comfortable, here are the answers to a few of the most common questions we receive about joint genesis. How do I know joint genesis will work for me? Okay, while your level of joint pain may be slightly different to others, the likely cause is the same, which is the loss of hyaluronan molecules from your synovial fluid or joint jello as you age. As you've seen, this loss of hyaluronan thins and dries out your synovial fluid, meaning your cartilage loses its natural cushioning, becomes dehydrated, and is starved of vital oxygen and nutrients. This results in cell death and cartilage breakdown, followed by inflammation of the joint. The key ingredient in joint genesis, Mobility, works by quickly replenishing your synovial fluid with hyaluronan. This helps to lubricate and cushion the joint, nourish the cartilage tissue, and slam the brakes on inflammation. Again, in clinical studies, 80 milligrams of Mobility resulted in rapid pain relief, which kept improving each and every month for the entire 6-month trial, as well as producing significant improvements in physical function, flexion and extension, muscle aches, muscular strength, and quality of life. Crucially, joint genesis also includes French maritime pine bark. This super antioxidant is one of the world's most powerful anti-inflammatories. It's been shown in multiple studies to soothe inflammation and joint pain, reduce stiffness and swelling, improve joint function, and reduce the need for pain pills. What's more, French maritime pine bark is the perfect complement to Mobility because the antioxidants have been shown to distribute directly into your synovial fluid or joint jello, helping to soothe inflammation faster, resulting in stronger and more rapid pain relief. I've tried other joint health supplements in the past. Why haven't they worked for me? Most other joint supplements don't contain hyaluronan, and they certainly won't have it in its patented form, Mobility, which means they never get to the root of the problem. Neither do they contain the unique combination of Mobility and French maritime pine bark, which helps to further accelerate pain relief and support healthy joint function. Is my order protected by a money-back guarantee? Absolutely. We're so confident in our product that Biodynamix offers one of the most generous guarantees in the industry. Regardless of the package you choose today, you are protected by our 6-month money-back, empty bottle guarantee. This means that if for any reason you do not experience life-changing results, or you simply change your mind for any reason, we will issue you a 100% no questions asked refund, and we will refund every penny, even if all the bottles are all empty. How many bottles should I order? To help you stock up and save more money, we've created a special bundle plan consisting of 3- and 6-month packages to go alongside the standard 1-month option. This is because clinical studies of our key ingredients, together with the experiences of our customers, demonstrate that the longer you take joint genesis, the more effective it becomes. That's why I personally recommend you stock up on the 3- or 6-month option while this special offer is running. This will help ensure there's no break in your progress, so you can enjoy the best possible long-term results. And don't forget that our 2-year shelf life means there's no risk in stocking up. How long will it take to receive my order? Your order will be shipped out right away and will arrive at your door within 5 to 7 business days for U.S. customers. Orders placed outside the U.S. may take up to 2 weeks to arrive. How do I know I can trust joint genesis? Earlier in this presentation, I shared with you all the safety standards that Biodynamix adheres to when manufacturing joint genesis. That's to make sure that what you see on the label is exactly what's in the bottle. Unlike many other manufacturers, our U.S.-based facility is regularly audited by the FDA and adheres to current good manufacturing practices, which guarantees that each ingredient that goes into joint genesis is rigorously tested for purity and potency and to ensure against toxins and contaminants. So the best advice I can give you is to take up this special offer and put joint genesis to the test with our 6-month empty bottle money-back guarantee. If you change your mind for any reason, simply contact our friendly customer support team for a full in prompt refund, even if all the bottles are empty. That means you've got nothing to lose or risk by trying out Joint Genesis today and a brighter, happier future to gain. Go ahead and select from one of the heavily discounted packages below, and I'll see you on the next page.